So one of the things that we're hearing continuously after Elliott versus State is that a lot of prosecutors are saying that they are going to begin seeking search warrants in a lot more cases. And if you're really frequently dealing with misdemeanor DUI cases, one of the things that you don't really see a lot are search warrants, particularly search warrants for blood. And those are things that if they actually follow through with this strategy of seeking search warrants instead of using implied consent, that's something that we really need to be concerned about. And if you haven't handled search warrant cases, they are a little bit different and in some ways a lot more predictable than your typical consent search case. So instead of going into court and wondering what it is that your officer is going to say, you know what it is that the officer is going to say, except for in a very narrow situation at the search warrant hearing. So what you're going to do is you're going to rely upon both the search warrant and the underlying affidavit. What you really need to be careful of, be aware of as you're approaching the hearing, is if the search warrant indicates that there was oral testimony that was relied upon by the magistrate in issuing the search warrant. So to begin, whenever you're preparing for a motion to suppress hearing, know that the state still has certain burdens even though they're relying upon a search warrant in your DUI blood test case. So if you have a case in which there is in fact a search warrant, don't just think that, oh, they got a warrant, that's the end of the deal. It's not the end of the deal at all. Instead, at the search warrant, at the motion to suppress hearing for the search warrant, the state's required first to introduce evidence of the search warrant, and they're required to introduce the actual affidavit or evidence that the magistrate relied upon in issuing the search warrant. It's not enough for them to just bring in the officers who allegedly testified to the magistrate as to probable cause. They're required to actually show and introduce the evidence that the magistrate relied upon in issuing the search warrant. Typically, that's in the form of an affidavit. So if you had a search warrant case in which a magistrate just relied upon the affidavit, there's only the indication that the magistrate only looked at the affidavit in issuing the search warrant. Well, then what you should have from the prosecutor in that case is they should introduce evidence of the search warrant and they should introduce the underlying affidavit. If they don't introduce evidence of the affidavit, your motion to suppress should be granted. That is clear. The case that you should rely upon is Watts versus State, 274 Georgia, 373. I'm going to make a post that's going to be mentioned in the explanation or description of this video. I'll include that citation and the relevant portions from Watts versus State in that post, so you'll have that information. But it's really important that we begin to look closely at the search warrants, look closely at the affidavits, both to challenge, for example, in a lot of DUI cases, we will see in the search warrant affidavit that the officer claims that my client refusing to submit to field sobriety tests or my client refusing to submit to a preliminary breath test supports his decision that there was probable cause to seek a search warrant in the case. We know from Miley, Mackey, Gardner, Kwiatkowski that is an improper statement that's included in that affidavit. That should be stricken from the affidavit and probable cause evaluated exclusive of that information. So we really need to start kind of digging into more traditional search warrant cases and looking at our search warrants and the affidavits and learning to challenge the admissibility of that evidence in our DUI cases. If you have questions about a search warrant case, if you need any help, feel free to call me. My name is Ben Sessions. My phone number is 470-225-7710. Again, 470-225-7710. My name again is Ben Sessions. Thank you.